Hello and welcome to my annual video about the top 10 favorite movies of the year. It's been another great year for cinema in 2022 with lots of really good movies coming out, and I admit I had a much harder time this year than the previous one selecting the movies for my list and then selecting the specific placements. There were many other films that didn't make the final cut and were still really enjoyable, so it's not like these were the only good ones. All in all, I've managed to see 163 new films this year, 99 of them in theaters and 64 at home, which essentially reverses the proportion from last year, and I think shows that the COVID lockdowns are now gone for good, which is really good news for a cinema lover like me. A couple of important points about this list. First of all, it's called a top 10, but as always, I couldn't bring myself to just nail it down to 10. This time around, it's going to be 13 movies. I had to cut it somewhere, and this seemed like a good spot for doing it this time around. Secondly, for a movie to be considered, to be in consideration for the list, it had to be released in 2022 in Poland, either in theaters or on some sort of streaming service, which means some of the films on the list may have come out in 2021 in other countries, and depending on where you're from, you may be surprised to see them here. And conversely, there are also films which haven't come out in Poland yet and won't come out until the end of this year and look very promising. So they'll have to be considered for the 2023 top list instead. Some of those promising titles that I haven't seen yet and I'm excited for include The Fabelmans, Triangle of Sadness, Babylon, After Sun, Banshees of Inisherin, Decision to Leave. Sorry, again, nothing I can do about that. And finally, as a sort of last point, remember, it's not called the list of the best movies of the year objectively, but rather my favorite movies, which means, again, it's not an objective list, if such a thing is even possible to be created, but rather a collection of films that worked for me personally for various reasons, which I'll try to explain. Anyway, enough babbling, let's get to it. Here's my top 10 movies of 2022.
I've invited you all to my island.
Hi!
Because tonight, a murder will be committed. My murder.
Once you're dead, will we still be able to talk to you?
Yeah, I'm not playing dead the whole weekend, dude.
Well, this is truly delightful.
Across the island, I've hidden clues. You will have to closely observe each other. If anyone can name the killer, that person wins our game. Any questions?
Halle Berry, that has a kick.
Oh my god, what happened?
At number 13, Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery. Just came out and it just made the list. It's a well-constructed and very, very entertaining murder mystery. A worthy follow-up to the original Knives Out, and also, as it turns out, a quite prophetic social commentary at the same time. It's witty, it's funny, it's very satisfying to watch in so many different ways.
I'm an alligator. I'm a mama papa calling for you. I'm the space invader. I'll be a rock and roller bitch for you.
And how about the shoes? Are those men's shoes or women's shoes or bisexual shoes? They're shoes, silly.
At number 12, Moonage Daydream, the quasi-documentary about David Bowie. And I say quasi because it's not a straight and regular narrative, but more of a stream of consciousness type thing, which explores Bowie's music at different stages of his career, as well as his own outlook on life and philosophy that evolved over the years. I found it quite fascinating in terms of the things it explores, but it is also marvelously done on a technical level. A sort of dizzying psychedelic trip through the live shows and music videos and strange costumes and odd interviews. It was a great experience and it stayed with me for days after.
వారు మా ఆదిలాబాద్ వచ్చినప్పుడు ఓ చిన్నపిల్లని తీసుకొచ్చారు. మీరు తీసుకొచ్చింది గోండ్ల పిల్లనండి.
అయితే వాళ్ళకి ఏమైనా రెండు కొమ్ములు ఉంటాయా?
ఒక కాపరుంటాడు.
At number 11, RRR, the epic Indian blockbuster blockbuster that I went to see on a whim and had an absolute riot. It's completely insane in the way it seamlessly mixes a great heartfelt story about a friendship with some socio-historical drama about the British occupation of India, bonkers action sequences, and of course dance numbers, because otherwise it wouldn't be a Bollywood film. I expected an oddity, but ended up loving it with all my heart. I had a wide smile throughout the entire film, and to anyone still unconvinced, try not to think of it as a Bollywood film. Think of it as the closest thing to a live-action anime, because that's what it is essentially in terms of the tone.
선아 씨의 소중한 아기를 안겨드리는 큐피드라고 생각하시면 됩니다.
키워줄 부모를 찾는 거지.
그럴 권리 없잖아, 당신들한테.
그쪽도 없잖아, 버렸으니까.
보육시설에서 고아로 크는 것보다 아무래도 따뜻한 가정에서 자라는 편이.
그냥 무로커잖아. 언젠데 출발이?
At number 10, Broker, a remarkably heartfelt and human film about orphans, rejects, and loners who end up forming their own artificial family. It starts off as a kind of dark comedy, but becomes so much more than that. And like so many other Korean movies, it really pulled me in with its atmosphere, and it managed to make me sort of nostalgic for this place and time and people that I've never actually met. Beautiful film filled with great performances, lovely humor, and bits of melancholy to balance it all.
Passager de la nuit, mais tout cher. Nous sommes le 10 mai. C'est Vanda Dorval qui vous accompagne cette nuit encore jusqu'à 4 heures du matin.
Et donc vous êtes une inconditionnelle de l'émission?
Oui.
Et pourquoi reprendre le travail maintenant alors?
Je me suis séparée de mon mari. Enfin, il est parti.
Je comprends.
Mais comment tu vas faire? T'as jamais travaillé?
Merci.
Je suis désolé, c'est pas ce que je voulais dire.
Tu appuies sur le 3.
Ce soir, nous avons une nouvelle visiteuse. Quel est votre prénom?
Taloula.
Vous avez quel âge?
18 ans.
Et vous vivez où depuis que vous êtes à Paris?
Des chambres d'hôtel ou des squats.
At number 9, The Passengers of the Night, a wonderful French drama that, even more than Broker, is incredible at crafting an atmosphere of a time, a place, and a group of people in them. Watching it felt like revisiting a youth that I never actually experienced. And similarly to Broker, it's sort of about finding your people who are not necessarily your family, but become one. Which is amazing to think that these themes are so universal that they appear in movies made in such different places as Korea and France. But what it does differently from Broker is that it explores the idea of the importance of single moments in time, in life, against the idea of permanence and being there for one another in perpetuity. I can't really explain it very well, but I did love being immersed in it.
Did you know that the very first assembly of photographs to create a motion picture was a 2-second clip of a black man on a horse? And that man is my great-great-grandfather.
Great.
There's another great-grandfather. But that's why back at the Haywood Ranch, as the only black-owned horse trainers in Hollywood, we like to say, since the moment pictures could move, yeah, skin in the game.
At number 8, Nope, latest film from director Jordan Peele, a return to form after the disappointing Us. It's a fantastically cinematic horror film which very intelligently borrows elements from other great movies, but only uses them as sort of seasoning for its own very original storyline. It's got remarkably relatable and likable characters. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I think it was the first horror film ever to be shot with IMAX cameras. And it is generally a fantastic mixture of entertainment and horror.
Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell. Let me be perfectly blunt. You are not my first choice. You are here at the request of Admiral Kazansky, a.k.a. Iceman. He seems to think that you have something left to offer the Navy. What that is, I can't imagine.
With all due respect, sir, I'm not a teacher. Just want to manage expectations.
What the hell? Good morning, aviators. This is your captain speaking.
And we're off.
At number 7, Top Gun Maverick, perhaps the most exhilarating cinema experience all year, with stunning action and the best flying sequences in the history of cinema, and it's not even close. I admire Tom Cruise so much for continuing to make movies which are not just green screen CGI fest all the time, but film impressive stuff that actually happened for the movie. And yeah, it is cheesy as fuck, and yeah, there are some completely unrealistic things in it, and yes, Tom Cruise is essentially a superhero in it, but honestly, I didn't care one bit about any of that, because I was so entertained, especially by the 40-something minute third act, which is definitely one of the better third acts in recent years.
It's a god-awful small affair to the girl with the mousy hair.
I met the girl I'm gonna marry one day.
But her mommy is yelling no, and her daddy has told her to go.
Listen, young lady.
But her friend is nowhere to be seen.
So how'd you become such a hotshot
She
actor?
walks through her
I'm a showman. That's what I'm meant to do.
to the seat with the clearest view, and she's hooked to the silver screen.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
Do you know who my girlfriend is?
Barbara Streisand?
Barbara Streisand.
Sand.
Sand, yeah, like sands. Like the ocean, like
Barbara
beaches.
Streisand?
No, like Streisand.
Sand.
At number 6, Licorice Pizza, latest film from Paul Thomas Anderson. This one is a sort of love story between two young people set in period Los Angeles. It's got terrific atmosphere, terrific humor, but most of all, an incredibly well thought out story about one younger person who desperately wants to feel older, and one older person who desperately wants to cling to their youth. It felt genuine and real, and again, like some other films on the list this year, it made me nostalgic for this place and time that I've never really experienced. It's got great atmosphere, great looks, great music. What's not to like?
Hello.
Hi.
Mrs. Marlowe, yes?
Harper, yes.
Do, come in.
The words I have to say.
It's a beautiful house.
But they're true.
Will it just be you staying, or
Excuse me?
Mrs. Marlowe?
No.
Until you give your love, there's nothing more that we can do.
Apple from the garden?
Yeah, it was delicious.
No. Mustn't do that. Forbidden fruit.
Oh, God, sorry,
I'm joking.
At number 5, Men, latest film from Alex Garland, a strange allegoric horror about a woman in the world of men. And some of the types of behavior she experiences towards herself, all sort of dialed up to 11 in the wake of a tragedy that happened to her. It's incredibly creepy, has a climax that is just properly insane, but crucially it really works in the metaphorical sense. And so it gave me this double joy, first of actually watching and experiencing the film as it was happening, but then afterwards of being able to decipher what it was about, of discovering the meaning between each character and sequence. Properly intelligent horror film.
Słyszałem, jak tam śpiewałaś na zapleczu. Super było.
A ty się zajmujesz muzyką, tak?
No?
No. Kiedy coś chcę...
Uważam, że masz piękny głos.
Ile ty masz lat? Weź się za siebie, co?
Nigdy nie dzwonisz po nic. Co jest takiego najgorszego w tobie? Zadowolona.
Czuję, że stoję w miejscu. Czuję, że to jest ostatni moment, żeby się skupić, żeby się odciąć od tego wszystkiego.
At number 4, Songs About Love, a Polish film, and my apologies, but I couldn't find the subtitled trailer. It's a super small budget movie that absolutely won me over with its depiction of the tragic romance between an innocent singer and a sort of tortured young musician who desperately tries to escape the shadow of his famous father. It's probably the most emotionally riveting film I've seen this year. It's also got an incredible soundtrack. The songs written specifically for the movie are just terrific, and I still listen to them occasionally. And the way the central relationship is developed and built is just masterful. It feels raw, it feels real, it feels powerful, and it feels just tragically, desperately human.
You said you're never going to step a foot in Texas again.
I know, this is unexpected.
Oh, nothing with you is unexpected.
Your last job is over 17 years ago. That's quite a gap.
Well, you know, I've worked almost every day for the last 17 years. I moved back in with my wife last week.
No, I'm calling the cops. 4, 9,
Really?
8.
We decided to make a run of it.
I just need a place to crash for a couple of days. What's the big deal?
Mikey, go fuck yourself.
All right, look, I'm gonna be straight with you. I'm an adult film actor.
Excuse me? So why are you back, Mr. Hollywood?
Mikey, welcome back, dude.
I'm on top of my game right now on like every single possible level. Physical stamina, my mind is sharp. I'm taking 5-HTP for serotonin in my brain.
Yeah?
Dude, with my skill and ability, there's no denying what I can do. The universe is on my side, bro.
Before long, it'll be like we're still married.
We are still married.
At number 3, Red Rocket, latest film from Sean Baker. It got significantly less good press than his previous movie, The Florida Project, and I'm kind of surprised because Red Rocket impressed me just as much. Once again, Baker explores people living on the fringes of the American society, doing a masterful work of recreating the atmosphere of a specific time and place and projecting that onto the screen. Watching the movie felt to me like I was there with the characters, which is probably the most important feeling that a film can evoke in its audience. I also loved it for making me feel so conflicted about rooting for and sympathizing with and enjoying the company of a protagonist who by all means is a bad guy and a raging asshole. But hey, Simon Rex is so damn charismatic in the role, it was impossible not to enjoy his company.
Mrs. Wang. Mrs. Wang.
Mrs. Wang, are you with us?
I am paying attention.
Now, you may only see a pile of receipts, but I see a story. I can see where this story is going. It does not look good.
What's happening? At number 2, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Without question, the most original film this year, and perhaps even in the last 5 years or so. I specifically cut the trailer in this video not to reveal too much about it, because it's best to just go into it blind and just let yourself be taken on this wild ride. A ride that is impressive because of its scope, its ambition, its craziness, and just this sheer feeling of a great adventure. But also because of how well it works on an emotional level, on the simplicity of a story about mother and daughter and the difficult relationship between them. The special effects and action sequences are ridiculously good, especially when you consider the relatively low budget. The performances are fantastic, and just the whole concept of it is wildly fun. And I debated myself for a bit whether it won't be my number 1. And really, depending on the day I made this video, the 2 first places could have been swapped either way. But today, there is a different winner.
Feel now. I will avenge you, Father! I will save you, Mother! I will kill you, Fiona!
I will avenge you, Father. I will save you, Mother. I will I'll kill you, feel it.
And my favorite film this year has been The Northman, latest movie from Robert Eggers, and probably my favorite of his, even though I've seen some people have a different opinion saying it's the simplest one. Well, yeah, it kind of has the most straightforward narrative, but it's hard to hold that against it when that narrative is essentially Viking Hamlet. A truly Shakespearean drama about loss and revenge, which is set in an absolutely brutal Viking world. It's bloody, it's shocking, it's incredibly beautifully shot and deserved to be seen on the big screen. It's got great performances from everybody involved, and it's really good at skirting the line between realism and magic. And also, I felt it doesn't really waste a single second of its runtime. It's very tight. And all those reasons contributed to the fact that this was my only 10 out of 10 movie this entire year, and it did end up being my favorite.